you're fired. So I'm gonna fill in this video. So I was 92% right about what occurred in the presidential election. To take accountability and responsibility, I was wrong in Texas, I was wrong in North Carolina, I was wrong in Florida, but Georgia's still holding blue for the Democrats, so that should be scary for the Republican Party. But other than that, I was wrong in those states. One thing polling has to do a better job of. It was relatively still correct this time as well. The thing they have to do a better job of is accounting for the Trump base, accounting for the secret hidden Trump vote. That is real. That is a real entity now. We can't just dismiss that anymore. That's a real thing. So Donald Trump increased his base, and he actually did what I say he had to do. He overperformed the polls by 6 to 7%. That shouldn't just be dismissed or swept under the rug by any measure. But I'm pretty sure if upwards of 170 million people had voted, because it looks like this time it was upwards of 150 million, so not quite what I said would have to have happened for those states to turn. But like I said, Georgia still turned and it flipped. So that should be scary for the whole entire Republican Party. And on top of that, the AP, the Associated Press, they had called Arizona that night for Joe Biden, that night. So I already knew Joe Biden was gonna win. It was just by how much. Because if he's performing well in places to where he's not supposed to win, places he's not supposed to flip, what do you think about the places where he's supposed to do well in, where he's supposed to perform well in? This is something the Republicans and, quite frankly, MAGA and the Trump base, they don't want to accept. Donald Trump lost because the Democratic Party brought out their base of support. Like I said, they ran up the numbers in urban and suburban areas, and that's all they have to do. And MAGA, they can't accept this reality. They just can't accept it. There was no voter fraud at all. So now Bill Barr is trying to have investigators from the Justice Department look into possible cases of voter fraud. But the thing is, there's no concrete evidence actually there. If it was there, Bill Barr would be saying, hello, press briefing, this is what's going on in this state, that state, how about that state? But they can't do any of this because it doesn't exist. It's not there. And now I'm starting to see a lot of people get sucked up into this narrative, up into this notion that there was voter fraud. Like I keep saying, show me the hard, concrete evidence. Anyone who tries to even say there was voter fraud, whenever you try to just push them and keep pressing them and keep asking them, well, where's the evidence? How did it happen? And when did it happen? They start sounding stupid and dumb, and they just can't explain their way through it because they know it's stupid. And I just think it's funny because MAGA and the whole entire Trump base, they're wanting the vote to completely stop in the whole entire Rust Belt. They want things to be reversed back to election night. But at the same time, Arizona, a Republican state, was called on election night by multiple credible sources for Joe Biden. But yet they want the vote to continue in that state. This is the idiotic nature of the whole entire Trump base, the whole entire Trump administration. Here's Exhibit A of a Trump supporter trying to say there's voter fraud happening in Philadelphia, a majority black urban epicenter.
The left hates Trump so much that they're doing everything in their power, and they knew that this was going to happen. Trump knew that this was going to happen, so it's all, they prepared for this. So it's probably going to go to court, whatever they're going to do, and they're going to figure it out.
What I'm trying to understand, right? Just common sense. If the president is tweeting, it's fraud here in Pennsylvania, don't count the ballots, but he wants to count the ballots.
All I know is there's a lot of fraud going on. Okay. That's all I can tell you, and I know it for a fact.
What's your name?
100%. There's so much fraud going on. People didn't want Biden in there. They don't want him in there. Are you kidding me? Obama didn't want him as a vice president, but the freaking left made him.
So do you think these ballots are just fake? You think? No, I'm asking. You say they don't really want Biden in.
They don't want him there. No.
So the ballots. Okay,
so she's so far left and she's so radical that they want her because they want a socialist country, and that's what they want.
Well, what I'm trying to understand is Biden currently is winning 80% of the vote in Philadelphia. So do you think those are fake numbers?
No, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. Look, he's winning right now, but the numbers are going up. I'm watching it right on my phone. I'm watching live. So the numbers keep on Biden's side. They keep on going up. He's going to lose. Trump is going to lose every Democratic state. Every one he's going to lose. He's going to have to go. They're going to have to recount it. And from what I understand, there's watermarks on the legitimate ballots, and they're going to figure it out.
What I don't understand is you keep saying they're going to have to recount it because there's fraud, but you can't actually explain where the fraud is, what the fraud is.
No, exactly. I can't, but there's a lot of fraud going on. And it's been planned. It's been known that they were going to do this. The left was going to do this.
Are you having like, psychic views?
Now you're just being a dick.
No, I'm asking.
Now you're just being a dickhead.
You're not explaining what the fraud is. You're just saying there's fraud.
Right, now you're just you're left, and that's fine. But I know you're.
I don't even like Biden. I'm just asking you.
No,
You
but
keep saying there's fraud.
You
No,
have-
I'm not.
everyone is-
I'm a registered independent, first of all.
everyone
But
is-
what I'm asking you,
I hate Trump.
that's fine. But what I'm asking you is, you're saying as fact there's a lot of fraud, but you're not actually explaining what the fraud is.
Well, for one of the polling places were giving people Sharpies to sign the papers, to sign the ballots. They were saying here, and one woman said, no, I had my pen. But they were forcing her to use a Sharpie. A lot of the people, they were forcing people to use Sharpies, and that's a fact. They got proof of that.
Sharpies make the
Sharpies
votes.
don't work or something. I don't know.
They do. The ink dries faster, actually, as a matter of fact. Yeah,
Well,
that's not fraud.
Then I don't know why they were making her use Sharpies, but it's going to come out.
So it's basically Sharpies are the fraud.
But that's only one thing. There's a whole lot of other things that there's fraudulent stuff going on. I don't know exactly, but I know that look, Trump was winning. He won by a landslide, but now they stopped it. Now look what's happening. Whatever they're doing.
Putting aside fraud or not fraud, what's going to happen if...
He's trying to say there's voter fraud going on. And this is the thing. They're trying to say voter fraud is occurring in all these black urban epicenters. What do you believe was going to happen? Like, what did you guys think was going to happen? There's a reason why black people support the Democratic Party overwhelmingly, because of the media industrial complex. These are things that I was trying to explain during the Democratic primaries. People just didn't understand what was occurring. Black people, unilaterally, almost like a monolith, support the Democratic Party heavily, no matter what. Trump did increase his support amongst people of color. That's how he pulled off of Florida. That's how he pulled off of North Carolina. Not only that, but then Kayleigh McEnany, the press secretary who used to be on CNN, and Kayleigh McEnany, she's someone made a name for herself within the Republican Party. She's made a name for herself. She used to be on CNN. When she was on there, a lot of times they used to make fun of her and laugh at her and joke at her. Now she's the press secretary. So now she's having her biggest flex because she's in the administration that she just so loves so dearly to her heart. She starts claiming voter fraud in her press briefing. And then you see Fox News have to pull away from her. They're actually disturbed by the things that she's saying because she has no evidence to legitimately back it up. They're just claiming it with no evidence to present it. It's like going to court, claiming somebody did something, but you want something to be done about it, but there's no evidence showing it or backing up your claim. So this is what they're walking into in terms of court and litigation. They're just stupid people, very stupid people. But here goes a clip of Fox News having to break away from Kayleigh McEnany because they see that she's continuing to lie after the election. After Fox News, their network, called the election for Joe Biden, called Arizona early for Biden because they already did the math all the way through. Donald Trump would have to win overwhelmingly the percentage of the vote left in Maricopa County, which just isn't happening. Anyways, their network called the election for Joe Biden. But here goes the clip of them having to break away from Kayleigh.
We want an honest, accurate, lawful count. We want maximum sunlight. We want maximum transparency. We want every legal vote to be counted, and we want every illegal vote to be...
Whoa. I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up, but that's an explosive charge to make, that the other side is effectively rigging and cheating. If she does bring proof of that, of course, we'll take you back. So far, she has started saying right at the outset, welcoming fraud, welcoming illegal voting. Not so fast. We'll have more after this.
So, quite frankly, I'm done talking about voter fraud and how this is similar to the 2000 election. Hell, even in the 2000 election, Al Gore didn't even lose the Rust Belt. There's a reason for that. John Kerry didn't lose the Rust Belt in 2004 against George W. Bush, the same president. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why Donald Trump was the first Republican to win in these places in nearly half a century. Now everyone wants to go shouting voter fraud, but these places have always voted this way, except for Arizona and Georgia. But at this point in time, this is why I say I was 92% correct. This was still a mandate election, regardless. I said this from the very beginning. All Biden had to do was slightly increase from 120 million votes that were cast in 2016. That's all the Democrats had to do. And when they do that, everyone wants to get scared and shit their pants and say voter fraud, voter fraud. What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Now Trump doesn't want to cooperate with the transition, and they're not signing any documents to get the process going or to even initiate it. So, as I predicted, I believe Trump will have to be escorted out by the Secret Service because this is happening. This is happening. It's over. The election's over. The Secret Service has increased their presence around both Kamala Harris and Joe Biden massively. Biden now has the same protections as Donald Trump. You can't fly over him for a certain distance. You can't get near him for a certain distance. He now has the same protocols and protections as the President of the United States. So it's over. It's over. Biden is getting ready to fill his whole entire cabinet with deep state operatives because Citibank and other Wall Street firms have already emailed Joe Biden a list of all the people they want in his cabinet because they were funding his campaign. When you fund a political candidate's campaign, you're going to get what you want because you funded them. You were the reason for their success. So now Biden is getting ready to put a whole bunch of Republicans and deep state operatives within his cabinet. We're going to push him. Like I said, we're going to come after his administration, and his administration will be primaried. So we're going to push him as progressive as we possibly can and to the left as much as we possibly can. We're going to push him until he gives us what we want. We're going to push him. They're most likely going to hand this off to Kamala Harris. They're positioning her very well. And because of what's happening in the state of Georgia, the same state that I said would still be a Democratic state if Trump overperformed the margin of error, the same margin of error could occur, which did, definitely. He overperformed the polls by 6 to 7%, but Georgia still stayed for the Democrats. Because of what happened in Georgia and what's happening currently as I speak, you're gonna see people like Stacey Abrams, maybe even Mayor Keisha, rise to be a VP candidate, maybe, possibly for Kamala Harris in 2024. We have to ensure that we make a successful primary and come after their administration like no other. The people are hurting, truly, and the only way to help people rise up from this hurt is through progressive legislation and through a progressive push. Because we're not going to let them continue to go along with this deep state, neoliberalism, centrist politics for the remainder of this decade. That's over with. That's over with. We're tired of that. No more Barack Obama for 8 years. Make incremental change and pragmatic changes to the system, but not ultimately fix it the way it needs to be fixed. So we're coming after their administration. The Democrats have merely paused this horror film. Donald Trump can still run in 2024. You don't think Trump wouldn't run in 2024 and have his son as the VP candidate for the Republican ticket? I can definitely see that happening. So, especially with the way Trump thinks, keeping it all in the family probably sounds good to him by ear. So I can definitely see that happening. So the Democrats have merely paused this horror film. It's not over by any means. So I was wrong about 3 states. Donald Trump, he ended up edging Texas out. He ended up edging Florida out. He ended up edging North Carolina out. Now Texas still shifted to the left by 3%. So Donald Trump underperformed his 2016 margin by 3%. Midway through this decade, it will start to become competitive. Democrats might start winning here, like what's going on in Georgia right now. He has more support in these states on top of the voters of color that he was able to win here, especially in Florida and especially in North Carolina. But Georgia, and mainly the black urban epicenters, this is where Joe Biden is edging him out. Clayton County, Joe Biden is just spanking him, not even close. Obviously spanking him in Gwinnett. Down here towards Savannah, he's spanking him. He kept up with him in the rural areas. Yes, Trump won the rural areas, but not by the margins that he was winning them by in 2016. Biden was still keeping up with him there. And this was the story all across America, to be honest with you. Trump wants the counting to continue in Arizona because he believes there's a chance he could edge him out there, which is not going to happen. Like I said, Fox News and the AP both have called Arizona for Biden. Definitely not going to come back in Pennsylvania. Biden is up by a substantial margin there. It just gets to the point to where Trump, like, there's no case to be made, which is why every person that has some type of credibility in regards to the legal system keeps saying this. There's no overturning this U.S. election. Joe Biden will be sworn in to become the president of the United States. Even though Biden lost North Carolina, it was still close. barely by 2 points, 2 percentage points. Even though he lost Florida, Florida is Trump country, so Trump had to have this type of performance here in Florida. And it's just safe to say that Florida is just a right-leaning state. Democrats might not want to accept that, but it's just the truth. Florida is a Republican state. They have a Republican governor, they have Republican senators, they've won the presidential race here in a general election. So this is a Republican state. So the GOP, they want recounts here, here, basically everywhere they lost. And it just gets to the point to where it's exhausting. And if you don't have any evidence to show of any type of voter fraud, just because the Democrats are performing well in mainly, like I said, black urban epicenters, that doesn't make it voter fraud. The heart of Michigan, one could argue Wayne County, where Detroit is at. Like Biden is just spanking him there, mainly black urban epicenters on top of the suburbs changing and going for the Democrats, which is why Biden is able to outperform and outlast Trump in places like Arizona, and in particularly because of Maricopa County. This is why Donald Trump is losing the state of Arizona and why he will lose the state of Arizona. The suburbs, along with the urban epicenters, came out in full unilateral support of Joe Biden.